Welcome to What in the Smut podcast,
where the books are horny and so are we. I'm Elle.
And I'm Kay. So what do we got going on in the Smutverse this week?
Intellectual property theft. For reals, for fakes, and everything in between. First up, we have the long-debated marketing choice of copying book covers. A newly released novel hit socials with a cover almost indistinguishable from a Colleen Hoover novel, leading many to speculate about what the future looks like for someone who would get readers based on something that smells vaguely of false advertising. The book's cover has since been changed and the original post taken down. Next up, Victoria Aveyard, author of Red Queen and a ton of other amazing books, took to Threads to tell people to check the publication date of her books before accusing her of copying.
I'm obsessed with her.
I know.
I follow her on socials and I'm obsessed. She is such a badass.
Yes.
I love this.
I love her. I love everything about this. And truly go follow. She is a spitfire.
I want to be friends with her.
Same. Oh my gosh. So, Red Queen sported a female main character with lightning powers and silver hair, which, among other similarities, led some readers to believe it was a ripoff of Rebecca Yarros's viral sensation, Fourth Wing. The only problem with that accusation? Red Queen was published 8 years before Fourth Wing. Nobody listened to me when I asked them to think critically, I see.
Also, it's so funny because, the romance genre has gotten an influx of new readers due to the popularity of Fourth Wing. And, Victoria Aveyard is incredible, and her stories are really good. There's no smut in those first novels, though. They're marketed as YA. It's almost like that extra wardrobe scene rocketed Rebecca Yarros past all of that, which is so wild to me because Victoria Aveyard is so talented. She put in the work, and she's not getting as much recognition for it, I feel like, as she absolutely deserves.
Could not agree more. Finally, in the Smutverse, sort of, Meta is being sued more than a dozen times over by authors fighting back after discovering their works, which were illegally pirated, are being used to train Meta's large language model, Llama. Newly unsealed case files revealed Meta's argument that usage of these works is highly transformative and therefore fair use. But more inflammatory, Meta says they see no reason to pay authors to license their books because, quote, for there to be a market, there must be something of value to exchange. But none of the plaintiffs' works has economic value individually as training data.
Eesh.
Now, this is an essential part of proving a fair use defense, according to Vanity Fair. But damn if it doesn't make my jaw drop just thinking about it.
It's so wild because, economic value, what does that mean? Because those books are not making billions of dollars like Meta is, that they can pee on them? I just don't understand it. It's wild to me.
It is wild to me. It's also weird to say it has no economic value when you buy these books.
Right.
We're talking Shel Silverstein, Margaret Atwood. These are names that everybody knows. And even if they weren't, you still have to pay for a book to purchase it, to read it. And it's a weird place that we're in with training large language models, having it read a whole bunch of material to form its personality. And it's if I want a book to become my new personality for the next month, I have to buy it and read it.
And it will.
And it will become my personality for the next month, okay?
Absolutely.
Speaking of books that I don't want to become my personality for the next month.
Are you sure?
Oh my God. I'm so split on this. It definitely made my jaw drop more than a few times. Kay, what did we read this week?
So this week was our first repeat author. We read Cold Sweat by Vera Valentine. And this synopsis says, fleeing college pressure, Jules heads home to rest, recharge, and figure out a plan before fall break ends. Eager to spend time with her mother and stepfather, there's one presence she's less than thrilled about seeing. Red. The sentient, smirking pitcher of cherry chill assist punch was a huge pain in the glass. He'd been getting under her skin for 2 years now, ever since their parents' wedding day. Red's taste in entertainment and weirdly suggestive commentary were driving her crazy. a destination she was capable of finding all on her own. With big life decisions looming, his antics shake up Jules' already fragile peace, steering her towards a leisurely evening in her mom's new sauna. It seems like the perfect remedy for stress, until Red invites himself along. Close, steamy confines have a way of outing secrets, and Red has a huge one he can't keep on ice any longer. Will Jules be able to resist her thirst for the unknown, or will the truth about her stepbrother refresh her perspective entirely? Yeah, he's the Kool-Aid man.
He is the Kool-Aid man. And listen, I don't read the content warnings. I am never prepared for what I'm getting.
Oh, did I not tell you it was a step-sibling?
No, you did not. However, for some reason, usually Kindle starts you at like the quote-unquote beginning through whatever assumption they've made. This one starts you on the author's note, which like, I guess, thank you. It literally starts, Cold Sweat is exactly what it says on the tin. I can't stress this enough, y'all. They're step-siblings. He's a sentient pitcher of punch. None of that changes throughout the story. So please don't start reading this and go, OMG, they're step-siblings and he's a sentient pitcher of punch. Like, you were warned. I don't know what to tell you. And just to head this off at the pass, don't send me your therapy bills. No one made you read this. And really, really, really don't send me videos of you reenacting anything here.
I did make Elle read this, in fact.
That's true.
However,
That's true.
I'm not paying for your therapy. This is our therapy session.
Once again, as if I needed any more like reason to love Vera Valentine.
Right?
This author's note concludes with, I wish I didn't have to say that, but the success of Unhinged has forced me to create some new baffling barriers. Don't reenact anything in here. This is fiction. Don't put punch up your Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm so obsessed with her because in the author's note at the end also, she knows that it is so unserious and like she's just hilarious. It's so
She's
funny.
so funny.
We are obsessed. We are absolutely, we might critique some pieces of this, but like we are big fans of Vera Valentine.
Big fans.
So the smut in this,
yes.
like, yeah, they're step siblings.
And yeah, he's a pitcher of punch.
He's not human. It's a little more than a 1 for our smut scale. So we did place this at a level 2.
Yep.
Mostly because they're step siblings and the whole, you know, he's a giant pitcher of Kool-Aid.
With all of that in mind, the trigger warnings for this story. Step siblings getting it on. They met as adults and have only been connected that way for a few years. A lot of glass rod insertion. A lot of punch in places it doesn't usually go. Discussions of anime, forced proximity. Oh no, step bro, we're stuck in a sauna. Overhearing parents getting it on, mention of parents imbibing alcohol, off-page drunken sex with a palette of drink mix, unenrolling from college, sucralose, and red dye number 40.
Red dye number 40. That is a trigger for a lot of people these days.
I am obsessed that we've yet again stumbled across a book that has anime in the trigger warnings.
And it's not by the same author either.
It's not by the same author. But I will say a trigger warning is hentai. Like, it's not just anime. And I need to defend the people who have enjoyed non-sexual Japanese cartoons in the past. Because there is a category for sexual content, and that is called hentai. And, like, this was definitely hentai.
I do have a note for chapter 1 that says hentai. Because that's a new word that I've learned since we started doing this.
Yes. If you missed it in episode 2, I think it was, Kay was like, also, I Googled hentai. And I go,
should not have.
Oh, no.
So our reviews, again, ran the gamut. A 5-star from Amazon says, quenched my thirst for weird smut, that's for sure. Vera Valentine can do no wrong in my eyes. I absolutely loved this story. I was super unsure of how the fuck anything would be possible with a giant glass pitcher of juice, but her writing made it almost seem natural. Like, duh, of course he'd do it like that. Love, love, love. Highly recommend for a quick, silly read. And it was really quick. I want to say this was like 54 pages.
Yeah, I think it even ended on page 50.
So this was a quick one, but a 1-star from Amazon says, what the fuck did I just read?
Yeah.
Honestly, morbid curiosity and falling down the rabbit hole of Kindle led me here. And it's safe to say this author has thought way too much about what it's like to sleep with the Kool-Aid mascot. The whole time I was reading it, I just kept saying, what the actual fuck? And I could not stop howling at the cup comments or the oh yes thrown in. I think I'm going to climb out of the rabbit hole now.
I agree with that reviewer. On Goodreads, we have the exact same spread. We have a 5-star that says, fuck it, I drank the Kool-Aid. If you look past the fact that Red is a sentient Kool-Aid pitcher, he's actually really sweet, which is kind of true. And I think I could have ghostwritten this last review, which is a 1-star, and it says, is it exactly what it says it is? Oh, yeah.
All right. Are we ready to get into it?
I don't think we'll ever be ready, but we may as well start off with, this is actually kind of a cute story.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous for sure, but the story itself is kind of cute.
Yeah.
I still am on the fence with whether or not I am, like, into the whole step-sibling trope. I don't know. But we start off with our female main character, Jules, and her mom met her stepdad, Dan, on a girls' trip with her Stitch and Bitch group, which I hope to have when I'm older.
Correct. The absolute pinnacle of becoming a middle-aged woman is the idea that you're going to have a Stitch and Bitch group.
I feel like I'm close.
I know. You know what's funny? I had this conversation recently where I was just like, yeah, middle age is whatever age my parents currently are.
Right?
It's not me in my 30s.
Right. I'm like, I guess I'm getting closer to that middle age range, and I like to sew and I like to do crafty things. So, I mean, who wants to join my Stitch and Bitch group? Because I also have a lot to bitch about.
I love this. I was about to say, I have many friends who stitch in some capacity, and
that.
I can bring the bitch. Like, that's... Everybody's got to contribute to the group in some fashion.
Absolutely. So they're on a trip to the Bahamas, and her mom meets Dan, who is a burly beverage distributor. Dan's son is named Red, which, I mean, he's the Red Kool-Aid man. And she said Red was the kind of guy that I'd lie about a boyfriend over to avoid at bars. An annoyingly cocky swagger in every step that grated my nerves. He was utterly convinced he was God's gift to women. In other words, my stepbrother was a complete fuckboy.
Oh my God. I have in my notes, of course, we immediately have a dislike of our male main character, Red. I don't understand how he's a sentient pitcher of Kool-Aid at this point, and I'm too afraid to ask. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
We do find out
I know
how he came to be, which you do love an origin story. So
I think I could have done without this origin story, actually. Anyway, so Red, he has an under the table demolition job. I said, I am deceased.
It's so clever.
So imagine the Kool-Aid man getting paid under the table for bursting through walls. And there's this line in his description that said, his mouth practically a permanent smirk. And I said, this is so unsettling.
But it is. If you look at pictures.
What it is, oh my God. Anyway, so Jules is home from college. Her mother and her stepdad are getting it on in the room next door. And so she can overhear it and is very uncomfortable. And then eventually they stop and they're going to go get tacos.
You know what? This is middle age. We're going to have sex before you go out because you know when you get home, you're going to be too tired.
I'm obsessed. And of course, after sex, you're like, yeah, I'm hungry. I've exercised. Like, I want tacos. And then you gotta go to bed. Yes.
Tacos and a margarita. Bring it on.
Hell yes. So her mom and her stepdad leave. And so it's just Jules and Red in the house. And Red is in the living room, full on watching hentai.
Yeah.
It says something like from Jules's perspective that's like, oh, he's watching his Japanese cartoons or whatever. But then I could already hear the high-pitched rhythmic moans and slaps of whatever cartoon he was watching today, the perv. Like,
in the living room.
In the living room. What do you mean?
So Vera Valentine is like setting him up to be this complete asshole.
True.
Which I feel like tends to be the case for a man that's a little insecure. They almost peacock a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of how he is. Like, he does have some vulnerability that he, like, shows later on.
Yeah, there's a weird amount of growth for 50 pages, I would say. So he's sitting on the couch. She's freezing, and she comes out and discovers that the thermostat is broken at 60 degrees. But the thing that I have in my notes that I was like, why? He says, "Hey, Jules, feeling a little chilly?" He grinned, his mouth practically a permanent smirk, eyes drifting down my tank top to flick over my cold, tightened nipples. And I'm like, why are women never wearing bras? Like, free the nipple for real, but also...
Well, I mean, she was at home.
She was at home, but... Counterpoint, she is sharing the space with the stepbrother that makes her uncomfortable.
Yeah, so you would think she would be covered up a little.
Around braless.
Fair.
She just wouldn't.
Okay, I accept your counterpoint.
Thank you.
So she does say that, like, when he says her name, he'd be all breathy and he'd bite his lip, and she'd called him out on it in the past, but he never did it in front of their parents. So, like, he would say he was joking about it, but, like, he never joked like that in front of their parents, which also kind of added to that, like, what are you doing? Like, stop being a dick kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she's like, thermostat's broken. Can you fix it? He says, no idea. Sorry, maybe dad can fix it. But they just went out for tacos. So they're about 45 minutes away. Sorry, you're going to have to wait. But there's a blanket on the couch if you want this blanket. The only references that we've gotten so far, other than like the knowledge of knowing that he's the Kool-Aid man, is the white leather couch glowed with a spot of luminescent scarlet as light from the front door on the far end of the hall passed through my stepbrother.
If somehow you managed to get past the author's note and you just started this novel, you would not know until this point that he was the Kool-Aid man.
Right. I mean, there's kind of some reference to it, like with his outfit.
Hawaiian t-shirts and like under the table demolition job and like permanent smirk. But like these are all things that you could write off.
So between that, like the light from the front door reflecting through him onto the couch, and then a slight reference to sloshing.
Yes, and a clunk.
Those are the only references that we've gotten so far to him not being human. And then she says, a giant sentient glass pitcher of cherry chill assist punch. Red was the result of Dan's torrid affair with a pallet of the drink powder at a drunken office Christmas party many years ago.
Was the pallet also sentient? I need to, like, it had to have been,
it
right?
had to have been.
Because that, I assume Dan didn't get pregnant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shit. Oh, and we've lost
I can't
it.
promise that that's not going to happen again. So it says, life hadn't been easy for my stepbrother, but I had to begrudgingly admit he carried himself well despite his unusual parentage. He hadn't so much as stained a throw pillow since he'd moved in, and it always smelled amazing, like sweet, juicy fruit. I can't.
So here's the thing is like, I have never liked cherry Kool-Aid.
I was always a grape Kool-Aid girly. So he mentions that his dad had just purchased an anniversary gift or just a gift for her mom, and it was like top of the line sauna in the backyard. And he's like, well, if you're cold, I'm sure they won't mind if you go break that in. What he doesn't tell her is that he is planning on going also.
Yes. It's funny because I think that Valentine does a good job, once again, of creating a believable story. In this case, not the backstory. I'm sorry. I cannot.
We need to know how he was created.
Yeah, I need to understand how conception works for a giant Kool-Aid man and how genetics work. Like, is this flavor specific? It does reference that he'll need to keep himself topped up. And so I'm like, could he change his flavor if he wanted to? Like, does he have to be cherry flavored? I'm left with more questions than answers. But if we step back and just look at this as a romance in and of itself, I think Valentine does a great job of, with the benefit of hindsight, Red very much looks like he just wants to spend time with Jules because he has a massive crush on her.
Yeah.
As opposed to, from Jules's perspective, it seems like he's kind of a creep. He's kind of a bully. He's trying to make her uncomfortable. It's just, in fact, that he has no chill, pun intended, around a girl that he finds attractive.
So before they go out there, she says he laughed, deep and resonant, the movement making his ice cubes bump against the interior rim of his head. I'd never admit it, but as annoying as I found my stepbrother, I liked the sound of his frequently replenished ice made. It reminded me of a wind chime. So, like, she does kind of have a soft spot for him.
Yes, I will say that you did skip over what made him laugh, which was he suggested that the sauna might be a quicker way to warm up than the blanket. I'm sure they won't mind if you pop its cherry.
I did skip over that. My mistake. So she's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to go in this sauna. So then she goes to get changed, double checks that her door is actually closed. So he's not like watching her through the crack, which, like, has he given her any indication that he's also kind of like
the peeping Tom?
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is why I'm saying she would not be walking around braless.
That's a good point.
And maybe we're supposed to read this as, like, maybe subconsciously she finds him attractive and, like, likes him and wants him to be able to see her. That might be an interpretation of why she's not acting the way I would expect someone to act around a man who makes you uncomfortable. But it is still kind of weird. Moving on, Jules wants to drop out of college. The reason it comes up is because she'd packed this weekend for a cold, rainy fall weather. Her summer clothing is still in storage near her university.
Yep.
She'll need to figure out how to ship all of that back home if she's quitting college. And the tension crept back into my shoulders as I heard Mom in my head. Jules, you can't just loaf around if you're not going to be in school. What are your plans? Do you even have a job? Your stepbrother has a job. So we have a little bit of conflict for Jules of not feeling like college is right for her and feeling like she's, like, super burned out by it, but also facing down that uncomfortable conversation with her mom of, like, I want to drop out, which would not be easy and would not be fun to anticipate.
Absolutely. So he notices that she's off. Like, I guess they must have more banter in the past than she's showing. He says, hey, are you okay, Jules? You seemed kind of tense lately. This is actually the first time I've seen you relax since you came home. Surprised at the genuine concern in his voice, I tilted my head back up and glanced down the faint few inches separating my bare legs from his glass knees, sighing. And she tells him she thinks she's going to leave school. She's worried her mom's going to be pissed about it. She said the stress is killing her and she doesn't know what she's going to do, but she's hoping that she'll let her come back home while she figures things out. And I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a college-age kid, too. So you still don't know what you want. And it doesn't sound like she's too far into school. So, like, that's a tough spot to be in at that age.
I completely agree. And it's kind of refreshing, especially after, like, Deep End by Allie Hazelwood.
Yeah.
Where, like, we had college-aged kids there also, but they were so certain about what their futures looked like. They had it all mapped out of, like, this is what I'm going to do for undergrad. This is where I'm going to go for med school. Like, this is what I'm going to specialize in. And just, like...
Very mature.
Very very mature and very certain about the future, which certainly was not the case for me. I had that for like the first semester, and then like I got there and was like, yo, what? Did I really think I wanted to be a robotics engineer for the rest of my life? Are you kidding me?
I started out in marine biology.
Yo.
I wanted to be like a dolphin trainer.
Hell yeah.
And here we are.
Opportunity is a little thin on the ground for that, I feel.
But yeah, this is a more
down-to-earth interpretation, I think.
There's certainly college kids that know what they want to do, have that roadmap set out for them. But I would say the majority of college age students are still figuring things out. And sometimes it's okay to like fail forward, if you will, because you're not going to learn anything about yourself and you're not going to grow at all if you're not failing in any capacity.
Yes, it is better to try and fail than to not try at all.
Absolutely.
So we get this sweet, reassuring conversation with Red where he assuages Jules's fears and is like, I think your mom misses you more than you think. She'll probably give you shit about school, but even I can see it's sapping your will to live. She's got to see that too. And Jules doesn't know what to do with this sincerity. So instead of responding to it in any capacity,
like, are you fucking with me?
She just says, is this okay for you? Gesturing at the sauna's interior. And he replies, it'd take a lot more than this to melt my glass. Don't worry. Your concern is touching, Jules. And she says what we are all thinking, which is, come on, man. I don't know how it all works. I didn't know what was considered offensive to ask. And I always figured if it was something you wanted people to know, you'd have told me. And like, I have so many questions, and Jules is not going to ask most of the ones that I want answered.
But it's cool because, like, it is so... It's a nice way to put it because we all have questions about not just the Kool-Aid Man, but about things that are different. And like,
to be clear, I did not have questions about the Kool-Aid Man until we read this novel. I was happy living in ignorance.
I have had questions about the Kool-Aid Man. Is it his blood? We actually kind of get an answer to that. We are gonna get more than I think we want on that front. It's part of human curiosity. And there's been like Netflix shows about this, about how like being able to ask those questions without the fear of insulting someone.
Yeah.
I get it because there's definitely times where I'm like, oh, I really want to know how that works. But like that would be really inappropriate to ask because I'm not super close with this person or like it's not really something you can Google.
Yep. It actually reminds me a little bit of Violet in Morning Glory Milking Farm asking Rourke, like, I have a cultural question if it's not inappropriate to ask about the ring in your nose. So yeah, I think you're right. This is a good nod to an everyday kind of curiosity and discomfort of like, what am I allowed to ask about something and someone's experiences that I have no way of knowing anything about or relating to.
Right. He said, if a stranger asked, maybe, but you're no stranger, Jules. You can ask me anything you want to.
And of course, she has to immediately go. This would not have been my first question. So yeah, she basically decides, because he's smirking at her when he says this.
It's like he knows where her mind is going. So.
Yes. And so she decides she's going to shock him. Immediately, I'm like, girl, this is exactly what he wants you to ask. I don't know why you think you've got the upper hand here, but sure. So she starts to ask, so what do you look like under when a loud thunk outside the sauna rattles the wall, followed by the crinkling of a lot of half-dry leaves floating down? And it turns out like a massive tree has fallen outside of the sauna and trapped them in there. But what's very annoying to me is...
It's a sliding glass door.
It's a sliding glass door. What do you mean it got stuck.
However, think about it like the stick that you would put into the sliding glass door, like it's just wedged appropriately, because I could see this being something you'd perseverate on with.
You knew I was going to get stuck. You knew. I knew that you knew that I was going to be annoyed by this.
Okay? I see you. I hear you. I'm holding space for you, Elle.
And I've always appreciated that, Kay. I need the listeners to imagine that I'm holding Kay's pointer finger very delicately, like we are Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
So the branch falls. They realize that they're stuck, and she starts to panic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's fine. It doesn't look like it damaged the sauna. Like, it didn't land on top of it. It's okay. They'll be home soon. Like, don't worry about it. And she really starts to panic. And he asks her, like, are you panicking because you're claustrophobic, or is the heat just getting to you? And I can absolutely feel that panic.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't like to be trapped.
I don't like to be trapped, and I don't like to spend a ton of time in a sauna.
No, I feel like I can't really breathe in a sauna.
No, and so if I knew that I was trapped in a sauna, I feel like I would also get very stressed out. And also, It's so hot. How is his liquid not evaporating? Because that really it's not discussed at all.
Like when she asks if he's okay in the sauna, he says it'll take a lot more to melt my glass.
Yeah,
and I was like,
not the glass I'm worried about. It's the
definitely
liquid.
not concerned about the glass. Like, you know what we are wondering about, sir. Like, how dare you? Anyway.
So she panics. He goes, if you're too warm, come sit next to me. He just topped himself off with a bunch of ice cubes. So they're not going to be more than an hour or two. Even if they get appetizers, we'll be fine.
She sits next to him, and he holds her hair up away from the back of her neck to, like, keep her cool.
And you're looking at me right now because you know that I like it.
To be fair,
you also see me.
I do see you. I saw this and I was like, I know who likes this.
Shit.
So he like basically like holds it into like a makeshift ponytail and is like ever so slightly tugging.
Yeah.
I will say I'm not mad about it.
And then he presses his wrists against the overheated skin on the back of her neck, which, like, we all know that when you're really, really hot, that feels so good.
Yeah.
She's saying that, like, I've been really tense.
She's starting to have those conflicting, like, we're not really brother and sister kind of thoughts, because she says, Red was my stepbrother and siblings sat next to each other on the couch and stuff, so it was kind of the same thing. And then her brain helpfully supplies, but you didn't grow up together, did you? He's not actually related to you, and you felt like he's flirting with you more than once.
That is the devil on her shoulder.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
I'm a big fan of the devil on everyone's shoulder. I firmly believe that you gotta indulge it every now and then.
Agreed. Absolutely. Now she's like rethinking. She's like, I can't ask him the question I was going to ask him now.
Right.
Like the moment of now we're like closer together. He's holding me in place by my hair. Again, I don't hate it. And he goes, come on, now I got to know what the question is that you were going to ask me. And she says, Christ, I was going to ask if you were glass all over. I swear I'm not being pervy. I was just, trying to throw you off your game. And she thinks, oh God, it sounds even dumber out loud. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
I
perfect.
Love it. I was like, this is very relatable. Oh my gosh. It's great.
He says, I wouldn't care if you were being pervy. We're both adults. And she's like, we're siblings. And he goes, we're step-siblings, Jules, and barely that. It's not like we grew up together. I'm a man that happens to be a glass pitcher of liquid, not blind. You're gorgeous. And she thinks, oh.
She like turns to look at him and it says, his usual cocky smirk was firmly in place, but there was a vulnerability in his big black eyes I hadn't seen before. Red, are you trying to tell me that I have feelings for you? Obviously, Jules. Hell, I have since the wedding, but I kept it under wraps because I didn't want to mess things up for our parents. And, you know, it's not exactly something you bring up around the dinner table. It was just easier, you know, flirting with you a little. It was harmless. And then we get, like, the explanation for the sex cartoon.
Yes. So she's like, I've been cooped up in my bedroom since I've been back because you've been blasting those sex cartoons all over the living room. And then she, like, mimics what one of them says.
Nani, Oni-chan, what are you doing?
Have you seen this particular one?
Don't ask. I assume not this particular one. I don't make a habit of watching hentai,
but you've dabbled.
I know what it sounds like.
She says, I don't think I've ever seen Red blush before. It was a curious thing, sort of the opposite of the human reaction to embarrassment, as what passed for his cheeks on his picture face paled to a barely rose color. I'm so sorry, Jules. That wasn't intentional. I swear to you, I only watch the tamer ones out in the living room, believe it or not, out of respect to you. You're usually in your room and I wait until our parents are gone. I didn't know you can hear it. The resonance of my picture means I hear a little differently than you do, and I guess I had it on louder than I thought. I always paused it if you were walking through the room, though. We get that, like, oh, he wasn't doing this to be
just to make her uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get like this lovely, honest conversation of like, if I'd known I was making you uncomfortable, I would have stopped. And then like he realizes that he's massaging her shoulders while he says this.
He's like, oops, sorry.
Like, it's very sweet. Like, he truly did not mean to make her uncomfortable. He's just a guy with feelings that he cannot contain.
Despite the big container that he is. So then he's like, oh, sorry. I was enjoying the moment. I'm sending you mixed signals. She's like, actually, it feels kind of good. My neck and shoulders have been a mess since I got home. My pillow is too soft. Mm-hmm. So he kind of tells her to turn around. He drapes my hair over my shoulder as I turned, baring my nape and shoulder blades to him. Tension seeped out of me as two large 4-fingered glass hands, because the Kool-Aid man does not have 5 fingers.
I missed this on my read. Oh my God.
Started to work into my sore spots with expert precision. I moaned quietly, blushing furiously as the sound echoed through the enclosed space around us. Red chuckled. There she is. I knew the real you was in there under all that school stress, Jules. Just relax. Let me take care of you. I got you. Our parents won't be home for a while and I'll hear the car. It's getting steamy.
It is getting steamy. And I will say, I think a lot of this smutted.
Yeah, it did.
I have some critiques. Mostly I just have things that did not work for me. Surprise, surprise.
Some of the dirty talk didn't work for me either, though, for this one.
We'll get to it.
So then she gets bold. She goes, so you never answered my question? Because she did ask what's under his shorts. Mm-hmm. And he says, curious little thing, aren't you? The answer is yes, it's all glass. I'm fully functional, thank you very much. My exes have never complained. Quite the opposite, honestly. And she says, and does it rise to the occasion like a human's? Which makes him pause and clear his throat. Like, he's not expecting her to push back on his, like...
Yeah, he's not expecting her to banter back to him with more sexual content. Mm-hmm. And then we get this incredible, classic romance situation where he says, I'd offer to show you what it looks like soft, but I'm afraid that's not possible at the moment. Oh my God. I forgot about this. It says, I couldn't help it. I spun around on the bench and stared down at the elephant in the sauna. Red's garish Hawaiian print swim shorts were tented so tight he could have hosted a circus between his thighs.
I mean...
Quite the visual.
Yeah,
Valentine.
It really was. It was.
If you could see Kay's face.
Yeah. Right so he reassures her, and again, we've talked about this before. Consent can be withdrawn at any moment, and he's letting her know that that's the case there as well. He says, this doesn't have to be anything, Jules. This whole conversation can vanish into the void the minute we get out of here, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't want you with every drop of my being right now. He's saying, like, well, this is very obvious, but if you don't want this, like, that's okay.
And she's considering.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
And it doesn't take her too long to consider before she goes, fuck, this is such a bad idea. Which is always said before we're about to do said bad idea. So she says, but even as I murmured the token protest, I was sliding forward on the bench, pulling my lower lip between my teeth and nibbling pensively as I stared down. My request came out as a rushed whisper, as if lowering the volume could take the forbidden thrill out of what I was asking. Can I see it? Which any man is going to say, yep. But also, he doesn't do anything. He leans back and he lets her, which also I kind of hate.
It's, basically, she says he tilted his pitcher lip down infinitesimally towards his lap, sending the faint remnants of his ice tumbling and clinking inside his brow. Be my guest. I don't know, like, you could take this one of two ways, but I take this in the cocky male way of, like, you want to see it? Go ahead, do the work to see it.
But also, it could be that he's letting her take control of the situation,
Correct.
Which I think is more so
what was intended. Yes. I just tend to believe the worst of men, unfortunately.
So she says the sauna's heat was still bearing down on us like a wet towel, but my fingers were adrenaline cold as they reached for something I had absolutely no business touching. My stepbrother's glass cock.
Incredible.
And she goes for it, like, on top of his suit.
Yep.
He says, please, baby, take it out. Let me see it in your hand. I need to see it. Ooh, I don't like the baby.
I was curious what you were gonna... I also don't like baby.
I think it would be fine, I think, if they weren't step-siblings.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I wouldn't have been as icked by it if they weren't step-siblings, I think.
I think you're right. But she likes it. My thighs rubbed against each other, squeezing at the unexpected erotic charge of my stepbrother calling me baby. Which no. But I love the ingenuity, though, of the glass cock. So we do get a reference here coming up where Jules is like, I've always wanted to try a glass dildo, but never had the nerve.
So I stifled a gasp at the beauty of it as it cleared the fabric, a clear glass shaft with a simple bulbed head, all surrounding a thick internal column of the red cherry punch that filled Red's body. The punch surged in and out of the closed-ended tube in colorful eddies, making it jump and pulse in my palm as I stroked. I draped my palm around the tip, lightly rotating my hand as I shyly peeked up to see his reaction.
What a description.
Yeah, and like,
I don't know that I like the punch in it. I don't know that I like that we can see it, but I appreciate how well it's described.
Yeah.
Like, as always, I feel like Valentine's prose is so good that sometimes I forget what I'm reading about.
Which is a testament to her.
It truly, truly is.
So he asks if he can touch her too.
Indeed. We love a consent king.
Yes.
Like, he recognizes that she needs to be in control. And, like, I think there's something very endearing about a guy who's so desperately, like, attracted to you that he's like, can I please also touch you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm on board.
He slides closer and she like opens her legs a little bit for him. And then the fabric readily slid over his hand without resistance. And I gasped at the first explorative touch of cool glass between my slick labia.
The dirty talk is dirty talking because my breath caught as his finger insistently worked inside me, twice as thick as any of my ex's fingers had ever been, but impossibly smooth. Were you hoping your stepbrother would find out just how wet and tight you are for him? And she likes that a lot.
Yes. He moves his hand out and she panics a little bit. Like, oh my God, did they just come home? Did our parents just come home? And he says, relax, Jules. I can see the living room clock through the patio door. We've got a good 45 minutes before we should even start to worry.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get these shorts off you. That top 2, if you'll let me. Unless, and again, he's giving her the option to say, no, never mind. We're done doing this.
Love it. Of course, she's not gonna stop him. And we get like a single sentence where she's like, I should? No. Okay. This is a good line. But whatever sense I had left evaporated in the heat around us as I eagerly shimmied out of my gym shorts, bare ass settling back down on this warm, smooth, sanded cedar boards of the bench. Like, imagine being in a sauna. Like, this is the problem that I'm going to have as we continue on. I would already be so gross.
It is so sweaty.
So I maintain that this would be a very uncomfortable place to have sex.
I agree.
Personally. But we're going to do it anyway because she gets naked and he goes down on her. Okay, this is another thing that I did not understand. This glass mouth and how it works, because she is also as shocked as I am, I guess. He grabbed the outside of my thighs, yanking me a few inches up and forward, unabashedly plastering my hot, wet core against his cool glass. My back arched at the contrast in temperature, the unexpected shock making my pussy throb. A moment later, Red's mouth opened on me, and I stared wide-eyed down at my own naked stomach, trying to parse what was happening.
And so are you.
Me
What
too.
the hell?
Girl, like, what do you mean? The cool glass of his mouth had molded to my entire pussy somehow, locking me in place against his face.
So, okay.
Help me out here, okay?
So, all right, here's what I'm thinking is happening. So, it's like
suctioned?
Kind of suctioned, yeah. So, like,
Okay.
there's no leakage, if you will. So then it says, just as I was getting into it, a pulsating stream of cool liquid started licking and sucking my clit in a way that would make my shower head weep in carnal envy. So in this, like, he doesn't have a tongue,
right?
But he can
He's
control
just like
the
a water
liquid.
jet.
Yes.
Yes.
Which just reminds me of, like, in Moana when the waves are, like, moving, you know? So, like,
it feels so wrong to reference the ocean of Moana.
But the same
scene.
kind of thing where, like, the ocean is molding itself and not having the effects of water anymore.
This is also, I would say, I had a lot of praise for Ruby Dixon creating aliens that were designed for female pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good kind of creative use of another type of stimulation that you could not get with a human man.
That is true. She does keep talking about clutching at his rim.
Yeah.
Again, like, we love some handles. So, like,
we do love some handles. And apparently, I think he mentions later that it's like an erogenous zone for him also. It makes me really nervous. It's like a big basin of a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
Like, if you're tugging on that just seems like you're setting yourself up to get soaked.
The shower from Footloose.
I was thinking more like Nickelodeon Slimed, but go off.
So then she realizes that, like, he finishes up. He's able to really make that liquid do what he wants to with it. And get it, girl.
Yes. It's pretty damn good. Like, I think the erotic language really works. Like, so nipples pebbling at the cold kiss of glass fingers. Red gave a loud muffled moan of pleasure as his fingers worked, his glass face resonating at the perfect vibration to send me into a screaming, thrashing orgasm against it. It works.
Yeah, it does. So she apologizes. She realizes that she's, like, really grabbing onto the rim, and she says, I guess I got a little carried away. And he says, get carried away anytime you fucking want to, Jules. You taste like heaven, and I'd wear you on my face if I could. I'm addicted.
Yeah, he's like, we've got 30 minutes. I can't wait to wreck you again. And she immediately puts his cock in her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I grinned around my sudden mouthful of glass cock as Red's words careened into a choking noise and what sounded suspiciously like a pleading whimper. I did not like deep throating the glass cock, personally. It was definitely different from giving a human blowjob, but not unpleasant, even with his girth and the occasional clink against my teeth. Like, that does not sound fun.
No, but also, like, it reminds you again that he's glass. You can almost put yourself into that position and, like,
Yep, I mean,
feel it, I guess. So, like,
the descriptions are working. I am forcibly reminded that he has a glass penis.
So then her brows shot up as a hint of unmistakable cherry flavor trickled down my tongue a few minutes later, thick and syrupy and delicious.
So, do you like this more or less than the saltwater's halfie of Poseidon's Santa?
Oh, so much more. So much more. Also, there's another part where, like, they're kissing in a minute where I'm like, this sounds like kissing someone right after they finished a cherry popsicle, and I am here for that. That sounds amazing.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I don't mind the tasting parts. I don't like the getting covered in it part.
And we'll get there.
We will. And Kay's looking at me because she already knew exactly the moment where I was no longer on board.
Again, I see you.
It is indeed the mortifying ordeal of being known.
I don't like this part. So he says, your mouth is incredible. You've got me way too close already, and I really want to fuck that pretty pussy first. Have mercy. And then she says, I leaned back, running my tongue across my lower lip as I smiled, sliding my fingers against my clit before spreading myself, giving him a show. You want this pussy red? Ooh, I didn't like it.
I actually kind of loved it because he's put her in this position where she's kind of like driving this show, and now she's like ratcheting up that sexual tension by like playing with the fact that he desperately wants her and putting herself on display. I don't mind.
I guess it's just a level of confidence maybe that I was not feeling in that moment. Like, I guess,
hear you.
Okay. I do appreciate that Vera Valentine she must be kind of on the same page as we are with the big penis is not always fun. And he says, his words were practically a growl, his hand impatiently nudging mine aside to sink a finger in me again. He fucked me slowly with the thick length of it, making my eyes pop as he pushed in the tip of another a few strokes later, starting to scissor them, watching my pussy stretch around his digits. I'm thicker than I look. Don't want to hurt you. Gotta get you ready to take this. I appreciated that.
Me too. We get like a few more sentences around it of like him making sure and taking his time and getting her like worked up, getting her ready. Like, this is good foreplay. This is another one of those things that I think romance does sometimes well, where it's not just that foreplay is fun. Foreplay is necessary. Yeah. It is so necessary. Like, even if you have lube, like if your body is not warm, wet, and ready, it can still be very uncomfortable. And making sure that you are engaging with a partner who is invested enough in your pleasure to ensure that you are prepared is so critical. Ladies, men, non-binary friends, accept nothing less from your sexual partners. They should be getting you worked up.
Yes, absolutely. He also says, I swell when I come, Jules, so be ready for it. You're a tight fit, but you're going to take it all, aren't you? Gonna fill you up to the top, my good little cup.
I hate it. I hate it. I don't care what metaphorical purpose it serves.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I did too. And this is coming from someone that always loves the good girl.
Yeah.
I did not. The good cup. Nope. I'm out.
All I could think of when he said that was Chip from Beauty and the Beast.
That's way worse than my Moana reference. Are you kidding me?
That's true. I know. But that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, please don't call her a good little cup. Anyway, so this is where, so he is still finger fucking to ensure that she is prepped. And then he finds her G-spot and she is scrambling for a handhold on his rim again. And he says, just like that, Jules, fuck, squeeze it. My rim is sensitive and that feels so goddamn good. And so she's like, interesting. an erogenous zone that I get to play around with. And so she experiments with sliding her hands along both sides of the rim, like she was giving a double hand job. And he really liked that. And this was all very, very fun. And he says, knees up. I can't wait anymore. You're mine, Jules.
I don't hate that at all.
I don't either.
So I curved my leg around his big body, pulling him flush with a gentle tap of my heel on the divot of his generous ass. It notched the bulbed head of his cock into the absolute slick mess he'd already made of me, burying the first wide inch of what looked and felt to be 8 in total, all impossibly thick.
Is this big, beautiful man representation?
Ooh, I think it might be.
Because, like, he has a large, rounded belly. He's got a generous ass. Like, this is a large man.
Just wait for the fan cast. Just wait.
Oh, my God.
Because it's going to be amazing.
I'm so excited. Okay. All right. Okay. So, yes, I really, truly think that this works. Like, we both sucked in a breath as he leaned forward, pushing in so slowly I wanted to cry out of both frustration and pleasure. It was the steady climb of a roller coaster hill, my body struggling to take each inch while still mindlessly greedy for the next.
So good.
So good.
Like,
so
her...
good. No notes.
She really does have a way with setting up that, like, the feeling and making you be like, oh my God, that is what it is. You're putting these words into my feelings again. It's so good.
It's incredible. Like,
So he says, it's about to be a lot more, baby. You want it? Beg me for it. Tell me how bad you need it.
I'm not mad about it.
Me neither. So, but what I am mad about is, again, and maybe this is a testament to the fact that women and men have different wants for that dirty talk, if you will. Yeah. So we always seem to like the way that the male is speaking to the female, but then her response back again tends to work for him, but brings us to a screeching halt. She says, give it to me, Red. Fill me up until it's running out of my pussy. I want to be your. My brain sluggishly recalled some of the filthy things he was murmuring earlier, weaponizing them as lust grabbed the reins. Make me your good little cup, Red. I'm so thirsty.
It's incredibly written. I love weaponizing his words from earlier as lust grabbed the reins. Like, it's so good, and I hate it so much.
Same.
And so we have the climax of this particular experience. His restraint snapped as he gave a primal growl, shoving my knees up to get as deep as possible, fucking me so hard my shoulders thumped against the sauna wall, punctuating every word with a mindless thrust that bottomed out inside of me. So fucking perfect. You're gonna fucking drain me, Jules. I'm gonna quench. I'm gonna oh yeah.
I laughed out loud when that, like, it was so good.
It was so good, and for some reason, it caught me so off guard, too. Like,
but obviously he's gonna say, "Oh yeah," when he comes.
When he comes, of course he has to. He's the Kool-Aid man. I don't know why the smut was so good that I had just like forgotten for a second, and then when it happened, like the noise that escaped me, I don't think could even be called a laugh. It was so unseemly. I'm glad it wasn't caught on a recording anywhere.
So, a virtual water balloon of his cum gushed inside me, filling me up exactly like he promised. The pressure exquisite. Red's cherry scent absolutely filled the sauna as his punch did, gushing out between his still pistoning glass cock and my body, and down our legs in rivers. It splashed across our feet in buckets as we wantonly fucked through the aftershock and wet, squelching thrusts.
This part I hated.
I said she is going to get a UTI and a yeast infection from all of that sugar.
And a kidney infection.
But also he does reassure her that he's sugar-free.
It does not matter. Douches are dangerous, and that's just water. Like, you should not, do not.
Douches in all forms are dangerous. The
this is
water
bad.
And the men.
This is so bad. Your vagina has natural, like,
it is a self-cleaning organism.
Yes, correct. Do not put liquids, do not put soaps, do not put anything up there.
This has been Elle's TED Talk. So he says, Jules, baby, you're so goddamn beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't love it.
I also don't like thank you. It makes it feel like the sex is transactional.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I get that, like, he's, like, realizing a fantasy that he didn't think he would ever get, but at the same time, like, she wanted it also, and she was a participant. It wasn't like she gave you something out of the goodness of her heart. I don't like it.
I didn't like it either, but I don't feel like that for the same reasons. Like, I can understand where you're coming with the transactional piece of it, but also it's okay to say thank you when somebody does something for you that makes you happy, even if they're a willing participant and it's making them happy as well.
That's true.
I didn't like it because it just was at odds with how it all just went down.
Sure.
Like, he went from the lust to immediately the, like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It was just kind of a personality switch that I didn't love.
I mean, we did kind of get that set up for us, and that he kind of switches between that, like, cocky confidence and that vulnerable, desperately in love with her kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But I agree with that also, that it is, like, a pretty abrupt switch.
Like, he's saying thank you, telling her she's great. She says thank you, you were amazing. And, like, there's gallons of fruit punch all over the place. Like, what?
You're so right. Oh my God.
So she realizes that her fingers are still, like, touching the rim, then remembers that it's an erogenous zone for him and jerks her hands away. And he says, you can touch me anywhere you want, whenever you want. I love it. And then all of a sudden she realizes that they made a mess out of this brand new
Oh my God.
cedar or oak or whatever. That is
Cedar.
It's gonna stain.
Red Kool-Aid will absolutely stain cedar.
Yes. So she goes, oh shit, Red, we made a big goddamn mess of the sauna. I gasped as I looked down at myself, my pussy, inner thighs, and legs all stained a telltale streaky red. Oh my God, and of me too. Ugh. You hated this, I can tell.
I did. I fucking hated this. The curse of being an empath. No, I mean, like, I love a writer like Vera Valentine who can get me into a scene. I don't love it when they use their powers for evil by making me experience how sticky this would be.
So then he's still inside her. Red set me back on the bench, glancing briefly at the messy floor before slowly pulling out, drawing overstimulated squeaks from me the whole way, punctuated with a final embarrassingly large gush of liquid slapping to the floor.
Oh God.
And then he says, well, I'm sure as hell not complaining. You look damn good in my punch, little cup. Again, I don't like it. I don't like the little cup.
She likes it, so it's fine. But then we get this gets so, it's funny and weird. And he says, "Are you thirsty? Because I'm still nice and cold." And so he's like inviting her to suck him off. I think.
Because it's like you have, I guess, like he. I was going to say he's got a big opening at the top.
I know.
She could scoop her hands in, but also he essentially has a straw. So So, like,
it's a
okay,
glass straw,
fine.
too. It's good for the environment.
Absolutely. Save the turtles. So he says, "Are you thirsty? I'm still nice and cold." And between his widespread thighs, his cock still jutted proudly, a hypnotic drip of red shivering at the bottom of his tip before falling to the flood on the floor with a faint plop. Red, I hissed, trying not to laugh at the insanity of our predicament and the gravity of what we just done. Like, also relatable.
Yeah.
Sometimes after sex, you're either gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna fall asleep. Like, the emotions could be anywhere.
Yeah, it is a toss-up where you're gonna land.
But especially with a situation as ridiculous as this, I could see, like, laughing at the end of it.
I could not agree more. She decides against the obvious invitation and instead is like, bro, or step bro, I guess. We really have to figure out a cover story for this. Like, they're gonna know. And he says, Jules, baby, your mom, let alone my dad, they have no idea how I have sex. Hell, he barely understands how I came to exist. We'll just tell them that we tried to use the sauna and I tripped when the branch fell and you helped me back up. Simple. Explains why there's punch everywhere, right? And she goes, yeah, but I gestured lamely at my red-stained skin, very clearly centered on my mound and inner thighs. That won't explain the concentration.
I hate mound.
I do too. I don't know what else to say about that beyond like I prefer
cunt.
I was about to say I prefer cunt. I think I do.
Oh,
I think I do prefer
how far
cunt.
we've come.
And how far we've come.
So she says, is the punch is it your blood? It can't all be cum, right? Oh, fuck, I'm going to have the world's worst UTI. So she brought it there
Self-aware.
And then he says he's sugar-free. You're fine, I promise. It's not blood, it's just me. I guess it's cum too, at least when I get off. I have to jerk off in the shower all the time so I don't tie-dye my sheets, and it's a big pain in the ass. But it's definitely not other stuff, gross stuff. So, like, he's saying that, yeah, I'm all juice. It's not, it is what it is, but it's not blood. Because she's starting to be like, okay, well, like, what's going to happen with all of this? Your volume is going down.
Right.
And he says that he's lost all of the punch in his body in a tip over when he was a kid. And was fine, though it doesn't exactly feel fantastic. And then says, but I promise I'm nowhere near uncomfortable right now. I could spare many gallons more. So maybe you could try out the tap and fix our little problem. Again, he's got a built-in straw. So she rolls her eyes at him.
Yes.
Which, same.
Relatable.
She realizes, like, shit, I am really thirsty. And then goes, watch the clock.
Yeah. So she sucks him off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I slid off with an audible pop, sucking on his tip like a straw. See? A straw. I was rewarded with a cool mouthful of Chili Assist cherry punch, which had always been my favorite, even before I'd met Red. Not that I'd ever admit that to him. And then she says, you're so refreshing, Red. I could drink a whole glass of you.
Okay, but the part that I hated was his response, which was, that's right, Jules. Suck me down like the thirsty little cup you are.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't like it. I don't like the cup. Thirsty, I get, that is perfect. Because she is a thirsty girl.
But a cup's not thirsty. I don't know. It's fine. It's whatever. I appreciate the double entendre for what it is. I don't like little cup as a sex nickname. But I also hated that she answered by sliding the entire bulb into my mouth at once, sucking like it was a cocktail straw in a thick milkshake.
Oh, yeah. That's, wow. I skipped over that, and I was just thinking how I had gotten, like, a chocolate frap the other day, and they gave me, like, a boba straw, and I was like, this is great, because you don't have to suck really hard on it. But, but man, a cocktail straw, that would be terrible.
Yeah. That would be uncomfortable for everyone involved, I feel like.
So,
oh my God.
Again, with these characters coming more than an ounce. Last week with the 32 ounces of bull semen.
Too much liquid.
He shouted as a hard blast of punch hit the back of my throat, making me choke and gag before I found my rhythm again, swallowing frantically. No matter how much I drank, however, it just kept shooting out like a broken water pipe, and Red had reached down to furiously jerk his shaft as it did. Now this next piece, I hated it so much.
Oh, I wasn't sure because I hated it.
Yes.
But I wasn't sure because he does tug on her hair.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I like that part, but the hand in my hair pulled me off my tap with another loud pop. I instinctually closed my eyes as Red's punch splashed across my flushed face in thick, cold waves, running down my hairline and neck.
Absolutely not.
He pulled back on my hair to make my chest arch and angled in close to aim more thick splashes directly on my breasts.
So much liquid, so sticky. That is not.
I mean, but the concentration of where that liquid is now has been fixed. But also, I was not here for the whole I
don't like a facial personally.
It's like
It's certainly not in my hair.
It's almost like a golden shower, but not.
A ruby shower?
Gross. It just
absolutely disgusting. Yep, I am with you.
No, I did not like that. And again, that's me. Other people might have read this and been like, that's
true.
Right up my alley. Me, not so much.
So they're now done for the minute, I guess. And he gets up and she's like, Red, what is it? Fuck, did we not hear them pull up? And then he goes, no, better. I think we actually just fucked our way out of a problem, sis.
Ooh,
I don't like that he called her sis.
No. I didn't like that either.
But it turns out that they had bounced so hard on the sides of the sauna that the rotten branch had loosened up enough that they could get out of the sauna.
Yes.
So he goes for the garden hose and gets the worst of it off of her before she goes upstairs to take a proper shower while Red hoses out the sauna. We decide we're going to go for round 2.
Yeah. So she's in the shower and she says, I was really thirsty for my stepbrother, which is okay. That's funny. Yeah. Don't call yourself a little cup, but I liked the thirsty pun.
I did too.
So then she says, I'd been rinsing my face when I heard a creak, coughing as I accidentally snuffed up some water. You'd never guess I took a damn fire hose of punch to the face without flinching not an hour ago. Not an hour ago. Not 5 minutes ago. He says, do you mind if I come in? I just want to talk. My dad called, by the way, and he and Tracy, her mom, drank too much and ended up getting a hotel room for the night. So, they don't have to stress out about, trying to play it cool. So she's relieved that she now can really clean up. They can make sure that the sauna is really cleaned out.
Yep.
Also, he changed into gray sweatpants, which looked unfairly good on him, particularly because I could make out the heavy outline of his half-hard cock as he leaned on the sink. I love a pair of gray sweatpants.
Same.
Love a pair of gray sweatpants. However, what's the Kool-Aid man look like in gray sweatpants?
I don't think I want to know is the problem.
But also, thank you to Vera Valentine.
She knows what the people want.
For giving the people what they want. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Put a man in gray sweatpants. It's just, it needs to be done. I'm okay with it.
Yep.
So, and this is their aftercare moment.
Yes, indeed.
He's checking up on her, and this is kind of similar to with in Deep End, how he was checking up on how she was feeling emotionally, and he says, Are you okay? I'm sorry. I know we were kind of rushing to clean up and all, but I didn't get the chance to check in. Even though I've had a crush on you forever, I know that this is kind of a lot. I wanted to see where your head's at.
I like that.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Yeah.
She gives herself a second to think about it and then says, I don't feel bad about it or regret it if that's what you mean. I've spent so long thinking you were trying to mess with me that I didn't really consider you could be something else. And I liked what we did. I really liked what we did. And then she realizes, oh shit, I actually do like him.
Oh boy.
So then it gets weird. Well, not yet. They go for round 2.
Yeah. They go for round 2. I really enjoyed this line. His impatience to fuck me shouldn't have been so hot, but my pussy was running the show currently, and she was all for it. And it's like, get it, girl. I'm here for it. So he kind of like pulls her out of the shower and bends her over the vanity. I like the position. I'm not mad about that. I think the thing that I didn't like as much was like, if you're coming out of a hot shower after like being drenched in Kool-Aid and then a cold garden hose, I don't feel like being touched all over by cold glass would be fun. I get that it would be like, so the way it's described is the difference in temperature was wild, but it felt so good, electric, and even a little dangerous, which like I get, but like I feel like I would be so uncomfortable.
It's actually really good for your nervous system.
Well, yeah, that's why you're supposed to like end a hot shower with like a flash of cold water. Yeah.
But also going from like sauna to hot to cold plunge of thing back to hot, like it's good for you. So,
well, I guess we'll chalk this one up to another self-care moment.
So he's taking control now. Like he let her be in control in the sauna, but now he's taking control. She also uses the word labia a lot, which like,
yeah, she does.
I mean,
it's accurate.
It's accurate.
Would you have preferred to use lip?
I don't
Nether
know.
lips?
Nether lips. Maybe.
Oh my gosh, this didn't quite make the Smutverse news because it's so small, but one author called the foreskin of their male main character as soft as newborn baby skin.
I saw that too. It's gross.
And everyone was like, no.
Take that out. How did that pass anything? Nope. No, thank you.
Not on board.
So he says to her, because now he's growling, which I've never seen a growl in the wild, if you will.
I will need to send you the compilation
of growls
of Henry Cavill as the Witcher, because he does the growl.
He growls and his eyes darken.
Yes. I don't know how it's possible, but he successfully does these things.
He is the people's male main character.
It's true.
So,
Henry, we appreciate you, and we're sorry if this attention makes you uncomfortable.
I'm not that sorry.
I apologize on behalf of the people sexualizing you everywhere. Kay is, appreciative of your finer qualities.
Yes. So he says, do you realize how often I'm going to have to top off my punch now, baby? I'm going to pump so much into you, pour it all over you, every fucking chance you give me.
Ew.
I
have so many questions. One, I don't like this. 2, what do you mean top off your punch?
Yeah, do you have to mix up a new thing of punch, or can you just pour water and like?
Does it just like become cherry flavored? Like these are the questions that I have.
Is it filtered? Like, can you just stick your head under the shower nozzle and like?
What happens if it rains? Like, do you have to control for the pH of yourself? Like,
these are hard hitting questions.
I have concerns.
They're not outside anymore. They're in the bathroom. So they don't want to make another big mess. So he pulls back and goes over to the bathtub to finish off into the tub.
So then we get, I think, the classic erotica novella
jump
suddenly we gotta just wrap all this shit up right this moment with like weirdly quick resolutions to all of our problems. And so he basically just like blurts all out in one breath that he wants her to come live with him, and that if she needs a job when she drops out of college, the demolition company has an opening for a secretary. And she's like, okay, great. Love all of this. And then also, he told his dad that he's attracted to her. Like,
he said, I may have had a sworn to secrecy conversation with my dad over beers a few months ago. He said that you and I are adults, and considering how I came to be, he doesn't have a leg to stand on as far as condemning theoretically taboo sex. I think he could probably bring Tracy around to the idea of us if us ever becomes a thing. And my question says, does drinking beer make his juice taste different?
Oh my God, I hadn't even thought about that.
Like, consuming things, what does that do to the flavor of the...
Does it float around?
It's like a backwash. Gross. Yeah, more things, more hard-hitting questions.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, he tells her that his secretary, Rachel, just went out on maternity leave so he could slide them her resume. And then, like, they just had sex like an hour ago. She hated him an hour and a half ago. And now...
Yes. I need to read this, though, because I had to, therefore everyone else has to experience it. I pulled a towel off the rack, wrapping myself in it and taking a deep breath as I looked at my surprisingly thoughtful stepbrother through new eyes. Ones that still stung a little bit from getting cherry punch bukkake, but new eyes nonetheless.
I read that too, but I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I didn't. Like, I got the gist of it, but I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I didn't highlight it.
I hope you didn't Google it.
I did not. I learned my lesson.
Yep. So she says, let's do it, Red. I need a fresh start, and this is definitely new ground. And of course, he says, so Jules, are you actually saying yes to living with, dating, and sleeping with your stepbrother, you sinful deviant? I stepped around him, dropping the towel on the floor and curling my finger at him as I walked backwards down the hall to my bedroom. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I just cannot. Well, okay, how do you rate this one?
Honestly, this was my second time reading this. I read it the first time before the podcast was even a twinkle in our eyes. And I loved it, even the second time around. She's so clever. She's eloquent in these absolutely ridiculous stories. And she knows that it's ridiculous. Like, in her notes at the end, she says, thank you so much for reading Cold Sweat. I hope you enjoyed this strange, unhinged journey into the depths of depravity and sentient object romance.
Yep.
Like, she knows that what she's writing is outrageous, and she doesn't take it too seriously, but at the same time, a job worth doing is worth doing well, and she does it so well.
So well. She does it so well.
Like, 4, close to a 5. Like, I really like this one, and, like, reading it again, it made me laugh again. Yeah. I'm gonna go with a 5, because just, like...
That's the first 5 on this podcast.
Is it?
Yes.
For Cold Sweat.
For Cold Sweat.
I'm gonna do, like, Kool-Aid. We are drinking the Kool-Aid.
We are drinking the Kool-Aid. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to get a 5 from me. I'm landing pretty firmly at 4.
Okay.
I think the smut for me was better than Unhinged. And I think Unhinged, I landed at a 3.5. I was thinking about this when I finished it, because I was like, I loved Unhinged. I loved this one, and I think this one did a better job for me of the erotica piece of it. I think the biggest concerns that I had were just like, I didn't enjoy the quick staccato weird wrap up at the end. And I just despise all of the liquid that was involved here. And I didn't like the sex names. I didn't like the dirty talk. I think those pieces didn't quite work for me, which is why it's not getting my 5-star. But like, yes, I think Valentine is unmatched in terms of like sentient object romance at this point. She's number 1 for me.
She for sure is very, very, very talented. And I would love to like just have dinner with her one night and like just tell me everything, because
tell me what goes on in that brain of yours, because it's amazing.
I love it. She just she's so creative, and to come up with this stuff.
Yes. Well, what are your fan cast picks for this one?
All right. So for Jules, at one point, she mentions how her hair is like curly and has like Polynesian roots.
Yeah.
I went with Zendaya. Zendaya's natural hair is super curly, and like
it's so pretty.
She just fits the role for me.
I think so. Like, she can play that kind of like uncertain, don't necessarily want to do college, and like I can see her evolving into the confidence that you would need.
And her range is just
so good.
Impeccable. So
indeed.
Zendaya for Jules.
Yeah.
Now for Red, my fan cast. We did discuss A Big Beautiful Man.
Indeed.
Jason Kelsey.
I'm obsessed obsessed with this pic. Oh my God, yes.
I just picture him taking his shirt off at the Super Bowl or whichever game it was and yelling out, "Oh yeah!" Like,
I am dead. I am deceased. I will never be the same.
honestly, I feel like Kylie could have played Jules. That would be.
Honestly, it could have worked.
But
That's all I'm
also,
saying.
Jason Kelsey as this fan cast, when you scroll to the next slide and see that I have cast his father, Dan, as Jack Black.
That could totally work.
Right? So he's a beverage distributor and he got a little crazy one night with a pallet of powdered
Oh my God.
drink mix. And I feel like Jack Black just perfect for that. So Zendaya, Jason Kelsey, and Jack Black.
Oh my God. This is incredible. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with all of this.
So next week, what are we reading?
Yes. Next week, we are reading Handle Me by Unfortunate Reads. It's a male sentient hockey stick. So I'm very excited. That's all I know about it at this point, and
Me
that's all I will know
too.
about it going in.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
yay.
don't know. And I haven't read this one yet. I don't know anything about it, but feel like we're getting midway through May. It's about to be playoff time for hockey season. So this is a perfect time for us to read a, oh yeah. Perfect time for a hockey book for us. Are you reading anything else right now?
I just finished Oathbound by Tracy Dion, and oh my God. It is, if I can convince you guys to read a series that has no smut, it is completely not part of the model of this particular podcast, but it is so good. I have not been this captured by like a fantasy series in so long.
Wow.
And it just, it bridges real world conversations and a really beautiful, fantastical, interesting magic system in a way that I could not ever have conceived of. Dion is a master, and I desperately need everyone to read it.
Oh, I can't wait. I'll definitely read that one.
How about you? Are you reading anything outside of the podcast?
So, yes and no. I have started to read, which there will be an episode on this in the future. It's a really long one. It's over 500 pages. Kiss of the Basilisk. So,
you may have seen it on Instagram and Book Talk.
Yes.
Because, oh, wow.
It is coming down the pipeline, if you will, eventually. But so far, it's really good.
Excellent.
And we have some exciting news.
We
Elle,
do.
do you want to tell our listeners what's going on?
Yes, we are officially sponsoring the Smut Lovers Conference in Orlando, Florida this September. I'm so stoked. So if you are in Florida or want to be in Florida in mid-September, I believe the dates are the 17th to the 21st. The link to the conference will be in our show notes, and you get to come hang out with us.
It's definitely got heavy emphasis on some more of the dark romance genre, and we're really excited to be part of it. We're all about learning, so we are excited to learn some things, to meet some really, really amazing authors. So I think that there's probably several authors that we either have read a lot of their work or maybe have discussed some of their work, and I'm really excited for it.
Me too.
So if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends. And with that,
we're at our wits' end.
See you next time.